Hello, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm here to share with you a card that I made in my stamp camp, I think it was last month. This is using the Mountain Air bundle that's in the January to June 2020 mini catalog. I think this is a beautiful set. You can use it for any of your masculine cards, but if you camp and scrapbook, you could use this. It would be great to use for your layouts for your camping pictures. Just a lot of neat things you can do with this set. And I'm also using the greeting, sending you thoughts. And this is a celebration stamp set that you can get free with $50. I'll show you that here in a minute. And I'm also using my favorite background stamp that we have right now. It's called Buffalo Check. So let's get started. Okay, first off, I'm using the Mountain Air bundle. I love this stamp set. It is one of our reversibles. So when you can stamp the picture here, then turn it over and use the back side of the stamp to fill it in. And it doesn't fill in perfectly, it's like the mirror image of it, but it does give a neat effect. Now I'm not going to be using that technique on this card, but I will probably in the future. But it's a really neat stamp set. I like this a lot. And these dies are gorgeous, and I really love the tree dies. Those are my two favorite, and we're going to use those in the card. So go ahead and take those off and put them in my dish. And we're also going to use this one right here. This is the one that will cut the top of the tree line in the card. And that's all the dies we'll be using in that set. Here's the Sending You Thoughts stamp set. This is one that you can get free with a $50 order, and that's before shipping and tax. And these are USA prices because I'm a US demonstrator. And it's only available till March 31st. So you'll need to hurry. I can't believe we're in the last month of celebration already. This has got a lot of neat greetings to it. And then the last stamp set I use is the Buffalo Check. And I'm going to show you a neat way to use this using your Stamparatus. You don't have to use the Stamparatus, but I think it helps a lot with getting a really good image for this stamp. Okay, let's bring in the card base first. This is a piece of Night of Navy, and it's a 5.5 by 8.5. And I'm going to fold this in half, like so. You always want to make sure you get corner to corner lined up. And now this is what I'm going to stamp the Buffalo Check with. Like I said, I'm going to use the Stamparatus. I'm going to show you what I did ahead of time. I put this grid paper in. This comes in the annual catalog, and it's cut perfectly to fit the Stamparatus. And what I did, I inked this up and then pushed this down to get my image on the grid paper. Now the reason I did that is because that way I know where to place my card base. So what I did put a little bit of adhesive on here. I'll show you how I do. You just take a little bit of snail, and then you take your finger and take some of the stickiness off. That way you get like a temporary hold. Then we put this in and just make sure that it's nice and straight and it's within the image. Okay, and I'm pushing it down so the adhesive will hold it in place for me. Now I'm going to bring in my Tuxedo Black Memento. I'm going to ink this up. And if you've watched any of my videos, you already know this tip, but I think this inks up better when you twist the ink pad just a little bit. You can still pounce on it, but if it doesn't seem like it's covering very well, just kind of twist it a little bit. So you get all of those blocks inked up. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to bring this down, put pressure on it all over. So I'm kind of rubbing on it while I'm pushing, trying to get a good image on that card. Now when you're using our Whisper White or Very Vanilla, it's a lot easier to get the image to work without needing to use the Stamparatus. But with our colored cardstock, it has a grain to it that the Whisper White and Very Vanilla do not have. So see how I've got a little area here that didn't ink up very well? Now really for the card, the only part that's going to be showing is around here, but that is kind of close to the edge. So this is the part that's hitting this section. So I'm going to ink it up a little bit again. And because it's still in place, I don't have to worry. It's going to line up perfectly, so I'm pushing on the part that I know didn't ink up very well. Much better. Isn't that perfect? I love that. So I do recommend whenever you want to stamp the Buffalo Check on colored cardstock to use the Stamparatus. And even if you have the vanilla and white, it still makes it easier if you use the Stamparatus. So there, you had used that temporary hold, so it came off with no problem. Okay, now I'll get that out of the way. Okay, now we're going to do some more stamping, and then we'll do some die cutting. First, we need a piece of Whisper White that's 4.5 by 3 1/4. And this is a photopolymer stamp set, so I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat, and here I've got another piece of that grid paper that works with the Stamparatus. I'm going to bring in the tree line stamp, and this time I am using the regular side, the one that's got the detail. I'm going to bring in my Mossy Meadow ink pad, and get this inked up real well. And you just keep pouncing it. The ink pad does stick every once in a while just because it's got so much of the stamp is just so dense. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to stamp that near the top like so. Hold it down. And this Stampin' Pierce mat helps support that really well. Makes it a lot easier to stamp. Okay, then I need another piece of Whisper White. This one is, actually this one was 4.5 by 2 1/4. This one is the 4.5 by 3 1/4. And I'm going to take the mountain stamp and I'm going to ink it up with Night of Navy. Okay. And I'm going to stamp it about, let's say, about right here. Okay, that's ready to go. And then I'm going to stamp these little birds. This is all of these stamps are in the Mountain Air stamp set. And I'm going to use my Tuxedo Black Memento again. I think I'm going to stamp some birds over here and some birds over here. And then the last thing I'm going to stamp on, let's see, actually it's going to be on this one. I want to bring in the tree line again. I want to take the Happy Birthday. I'm going to stamp it with the Night of Navy and put it down here in the bottom right corner. So the pieces that you've stamped so far are the card base with the buffalo check, the tree line and the Happy Birthday on the 4.5 by 2 1/4 Whisper White, and then on the 4.5 by 3 1/4 piece of Whisper White is the mountains with the birds. Now I'm going to start die cutting now. Oh, I do have a little more stamping to do. Let's go ahead and get all the stamping done first. This is a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of Whisper White again, and I'm going to be stamping the inside of the card. And this one, it's a little hard to tell, but it's actually two pine trees. I'm going to stamp it here in the bottom left corner. Okay, and then I thought, oh, it need a little something more, so I'm going to take my Tuxedo Black and put some birds right there. So this is going to be the inside of my card. Since we don't need to do anything special with this, I'm going to go ahead, I think that is all the stamping, so I can get that out of the way. I can go ahead and put this on the inside of the card because it's ready to go. Bring in the card base. Sometimes I don't do an inside to my card. I mean, I write in it, but I don't decorate it. But when it's a dark cardstock like this, I definitely put another layer inside. So there's the inside of the card. Now I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine. And I do have a little piece of paper here, and I'll show you why I've got that. This is just a scrap piece of paper folded in half. It's just copy paper from my printer. And I'm going to bring in a 4 by 4 piece of the Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to die cut these trees. They are super detailed. You can probably see that in the picture. And sometimes the middle doesn't like to die cut. Now, if I use my other platform, I didn't want to get both my platforms out. There's one that works better with this, but when I'm using my magnetic platform, I find I need a little shimmy. So I'll still make my regular sandwich. And then I'm going to put this on top, this folded piece of paper. Like I said, just a regular piece of paper. It's not cardstock. Cardstock would be too thick. Even just one thickness of it would be too thick. So I'm going to run this in a couple times. Back and forth a couple times, that is. And that probably got it. Let's lift it up easily and see. Yeah, you can see that die cut it perfectly. So I always find that shimmy helps just to get that middle section. It sometimes doesn't want to go because there is a give in the middle of the die cutting machine, and that's why it doesn't cut the middle sometimes. So I'll take these out. This one stayed in the die, and that's going to make it a little easier when I'm taking it out, trying to get all the little pieces out. So this is my die cut brush on my Take Your Pick tool. And when you get the die brush, you also get 2 of these foam pads. So I'm just doing this while it's still in the die. All the little pieces are coming out. And then I am going to have to do a little more work. Let's flip this around and get the right point here. I'm going to get my piercer out. And then just here at the top, kind of push this, and that helps get the tree to come out up here at the top. And then it comes out super easy once you get that going. But see how all those pieces came out that easy? Very nice. Now this one fell out of my die. The dies are exactly the same, so I'm just going to put that one back on top. Oops. Folded it up a little bit here. Well, let's just go ahead and take this out first, because it is die cut to come out. It's just got all these different little things. So you've got all these little things jutting inside. So it takes a little time to get it out of the big piece, but not too bad. Now I do still have a lot of little pieces, and I don't want to bend this up too bad. So I'm going to put it back in the die. Put the die over it. And that'll keep it from me hurting it while I'm getting all these little pieces out. And it's probably going to come out easier, yeah, because it wasn't originally in the die. A couple little pieces didn't want to come out because I probably didn't line it up very well when I put it back in the die. Get those out real quick. Just a few of them, that's pretty good. All those little pieces, and that didn't take long at all. I've had dies, took me forever to get all the little pieces out. So there we go, we've got our two trees. I'm going to put those in my second dish. Finally got smart and got my other dish out so I can put my die cuts in. I'd be working on them and all of a sudden the die cuts would disappear because I'd throw them somewhere. Okay, so now I'm going to bring my die cutting machine in again. I forgot we do have one more thing to do. I got excited when the trees, showing you how to do the trees. So let's go ahead and grab the tree line. This is the last thing I need to die cut. And here's the die that we need for that. And you just kind of move it around until you get the tree. See, that didn't take me long at all. Now, there's still going to be some white space in between the trees. You just want to make sure that you get the tops of the trees lined with the die. So once that trim, the bottom line of the die is lined up at the top of the trees, then you're ready to go. Just run that through. This one you only need to run through once since it's not intricate. And that cut that perfectly. How cool is that? Okay, so put that die back. Now we're done with the die cutting machine. And I could just leave it like this, because sometimes the white border is perfect, but I didn't want it that bright. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring in a stamping sponge and my Mossy Meadow ink pad. And I'm gonna sponge the top of this to get just to darken that white border up. Okay, and I'm going to bring in my grid paper again, and I do kind of want this to be green here along the grass. So I'm going to really just kind of ink up the whole front of the trees here. And that just kind of gives it a neat effect. I think that looks better than just stamping it. So there we go. We've got the trees ready to go. And with this piece, I wanted there to be some sky. So now I'm going to take Night of Navy ink, and I'm going to lightly sponge this. I don't want to do it too dark, or you're not going to be able to see the stamping of the mountains. So this one I'm holding up, so that gives me a light look there. So those are ready to go. I think I get the bottom a little bit darker. So now the mountains are ready to go. I do like to sponge my projects. It really makes it look neat. Okay, now we will bring in a piece of basic black. This is 4 3/4 by 3.5, and I'm going to attach the mountain piece to that. It's just going to go right in the center, like so. And then this, I've made it so it will line up right to the bottom of your cardstock down here. So the trees are right there in front of your mountains. Now it looks like I might need to add a little more blue, so it probably would help to go below your mountains just a little bit. I didn't get the bottom of that sponged very well. So I probably could have put the tree line a little higher on my piece, but that's okay. It's still going to look really good. But you definitely want to line the bottom edges of both layers, so this is even down here. So there you go. Pretty cool. Now we're going to put the trees on. Now because there are so many I mean, there's just little bitty openings. They're not that big. This is kind of hard. You could use the fine tip glue pen, but I found that if I just put a little bit here along the that line that's like the trunk of the tree, and definitely some here at the top, because it's doesn't have any holes on it. Then I can put this down like so. Actually, let's get this on the card first. Got ahead of myself there. This is just going to go on the center of the card. I think this is the first card that I haven't used dimensionals on in a video. I think we're making history here today. Okay, get that in the center, because I always use dimensionals. Now I can put this tree on. Make sure I get the, this is the one that had the adhesive on it. And I'm going to put it up a little high, because I want the top of it to hang over the top of this. I don't want to cover up my little birds there. I almost did that. So you almost line up the bottom trunk with the bottom of the black layer. Okay, might have put that a little cockeyed, that's all right. I'm gonna glue this like I did the other one, just little bitty ones, and one definitely here on the top where there are no holes at all. Because it doesn't take much to hold these on. And I am gonna overlap the trees, and this one I want to go lower, so it's almost to the bottom of the card, the trunk is. So I want it to be a little shorter than the first one. There we go. That's the whole card. So we've got this and that. Isn't that, oh, any guy would love to get this. It's a birthday card. And any outdoors, woman loves the outdoors, that loves to camp. I've got a cousin that loves to camp, would probably love to get this too. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you like my videos, please make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is, I've got a little subscribe button on the bottom right corner of this video. And then if you want to be notified whenever I get a video posted, click on that little bell once you hit the subscribe button, and you'll get notified every time I upload a video. So I really love you coming. I love spending time with you every few days, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye.